And just like that, we're back with the Real Estate Radio Show featuring Chris Lofthus of the Chris Lofthus Group at Keller Williams Realty, Boise. Chris, I don't know if we're necessarily giving people permission, but sometimes I always wonder when I go to the Parade of Homes, do they mind if I'm looking just to get maybe ideas for remodeling? I mean, do you expect me when I come in to go, hey, I'm a serious buyer? I mean, I know how I approach it. I look at it and get ideas. Claudia's the same way. But for somebody that's just wondering, hey, is it okay to go look out at the Parade of Homes? I'm asking you to give them permission to do that.
Yeah, we actually encourage everyone to come out and take a look and see what's going on. And there are great. I mean, the Flaherty house we have in the Shores. We just got all the staging done on it last week, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. And we let people tell them to come in. It's very different than you would see in your normal staging over the past 4 or 5 years of parades. So it's got a different feel to it, kind of contemporary, but. When you go around and look at these different houses, I encourage people to come out and look because, the fact of the matter is those people that are looking now, even just kind of thinking about buying, those people are going to be buying it in 2 to 3 years. And it's my biggest thing for everybody as we start talking about, and Burton will kind of discuss this too, is the more education we can get people to have about whether you're going to be buying or selling a house or remodeling a house or anything like that, the more educated they are, the easier it is for us to communicate with the buyer or seller, or like Burton will say, the person remodeling or doing something to their house. The more educated they are on the process of any of it is so helpful.
And I guess that's a great lead into Burton Friesz, bath and remodeling and improvements. 30 years of experience. He's been in the area since 1990, some 22 years, located in Meridian. As always, I encourage you to go to his website. It's Burton's, and that's with an S, Burtons. That's burtonsremodel.com. Burton, as always, welcome to the show. And there's a reason you're one of our regular guests, because when it comes to remodeling, Burton Friesz is your guy.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really busy right now. It's good to see how things are picking up.
Yeah, I told you this morning when we were getting ready to go on the air for this afternoon show, said, how you doing? You said busy, but in a good kind of way. I would, when I recommend you to people, I mean, number one, I say you can still live in your house, and he helps you with that. But you've got that, is it okay if I call it that punch list? So, yeah, you're busy, but everything's organized. You know when and where and things are going to happen in the remodel.
Absolutely. Got to stay organized, got to stay on task.
So, Chris, today we talked about the remodeling to live and stay. I keep using my my nephews when they said, Mom and Dad just got the house fixed up the way we want it. Now they're going to sell it versus repairing and upgrading to sell. I like more what you're talking about, that remodeling to live and stay.
Yeah, I did too. And again, we talk about, Burton can attest to this too. We discuss it all the time with people, and Burton goes into clients, of our groups, the Chris Lofthus groups. We send him into houses all the time. This week he's been in 2 or 3 houses, helping people make decisions, saying, what should we do? While we're possibly showing them some properties, Burton's going, here's what the kitchen's going to cost you. Here's what the bath's going to cost you. While we're showing them, here's what you get on the tail side. So if you're going to sell and buy, and so we can kind of compare the two. What I'm talking about, Burton's going to talk about here is when you talk about remodeling to stay, which is a great thing. And I want the best outcome for them too, because down the road, the ultimate goal, and Burton, you can kind of touch on this a little bit. The ultimate goal is to put the most money back in their pocket at the end of the day.
Sure. Yeah. Got a good example of that here just up on Quail Ridge here not too long ago. Well, actually in 2010, when the market was really lousy, we did quite a remodel, almost $60,000 in a master bathroom. And the year before, they had done their kitchen because they were going to retire in that home. They decided with health and other reasons and family, they were going to move back to Chicago. So after all that work to build it to last for them forever, and it was beautiful, they sold their house in 4 days for $1.2 million in 2010. And they had 3 offers. So there's the power of, they weren't fixing it to flip it. It actually worked out that way, but there was nothing on the market that could compare for especially in that price level, at that quality.
Yeah. And Chris, I'm assuming that strategic reasons you go to kitchens and you go to bathrooms. Is that right when you show a home?
It's across the board. And, Annette and I were discussing this yesterday with Jerry in the Parade Homes, as a matter of fact, and you watch how things change. Oak used to be in, and you start looking at some of these houses, and they're not that old, Burton. They're maybe 9, 10 years old, but the style, the design, everything has changed so much, even from 2005 to now. For example, we have a wallpaper in the house in the Parade of Homes, and so you're seeing all sorts of different things. It used to be alder for a while, and now you're seeing distressed cabinets in kitchens. And so we talk about when people are making decisions, Burton. the options they have are just unlimited.
They really are, and it's kind of funny. You may not believe it, but oak is coming back.
Tell me no.
Yeah, seriously.
When you said wallpaper, I wasn't real excited.
Yeah, the colors that they're coming out with, the cross cuts, the way they're cutting the grain of the wood, it's really looking kind of exotic, and the colors, it's just the old golden oak or natural oak. It's definitely dated, but honestly, we're doing quite a bit of refinishing of that instead of tearing it out. And then putting the money into, say, granite countertop or a little nicer floor or some better appliances. But, we can make the oak look pretty good.
So, Burton, one of the secrets to your success is it's not just me saying, hey, put these countertops on. It's to go to you and say, hey, I need a remodel here. Help me. What do you see with your vision? Because I'm assuming you have a gift, and that's a vision to see what can be.
There's two parts of that. There's the what are we trying to accomplish, like we were talking earlier. Are we thinking we're going to sell this place in 2 years, or we're doing this for ourselves for a 15, 20-year span of the kitchen? And once we identify that need, then we go through what we call our wish list and then our dislike list, things that they'd never want again. And we also look at physical attributes. I mean, how tall is the person? What is their age? I try to design everything so it's easy to use. So we're using lots of drawers anymore. We hardly put in a cabinet on a base cabinet anymore. It's always drawers. And those drawers are organizing drawers with pegboard. And you can get all your stuff in there right the way you want it. You don't have to get down on your hands and knees and find that pot or pan in the back. So that, we take in a needs analysis, if you will, and then we design around that.
And then work us to the bathroom. What are things you see going on in whether it's the master bathroom, a half bath? What are kind of your tools and techniques that you see there?
Yeah, we'll do the same thing, especially based on age and a physical need. We're doing a lot of grab bars. We're doing a lot of seats with handheld showers. So folks are anticipating later in life having surgeries and such where they'll need to sit down and take a shower, and they'd like to be able to do that on their own independently. And also staying in the home much longer. It's so expensive to take an elderly person and put them in a hospice care, so folks are staying at home for their final months or their final years versus trying to go into an assisted living. And so we can design their bathroom so that they can accomplish that.
Right, and Burton, you talked a little bit about just how things have changed, styles have changed, different things that we do have changed. Well, one thing I've noticed, we start talking about in general bathrooms, for example, and I've noticed too, I'm like, God, is it me or are, go in these older houses, is it me or are these kitchen, are the heights so low, and so you start talking about people going 37 inches as opposed to, I think, standards 35.
Right.
Back in the day, you start looking at those things you can change. We can make those changes, you can make those changes. And there's so many different aspects to that. What I'm saying? Where the height of the counter, what kind of what kind of faucets we're going to put in, whatever. It's endless what you can do.
Yeah, sure. And we've gone both ways on that. We'll find a kid's bath that's only 6 years old, and it's got adult height cabinets in it, and so the kids can't get up to the sink. And maybe it's got a vessel which adds another 3 or 4 to 6 inches to it. And same thing when we go into an adult bathroom. Sometimes we'll deal with a couple that's not 6'5", and
right.
They actually need a shorter counter. So right. We're adjusting that to fit their need.
Well, I think also too, something else I want to talk about because it came up at my house, and my wife and I, she pointed it out to me because I don't pay attention to a lot around the house when it comes to that kind of stuff. And
just around the house.
If you look at in our master bath, and Burton came over, I still put it off. Burton came over a month or 2 months ago, and you start talking about the reality of it is that we've got a serious grout problem, and it's got to be addressed. And I'm going to talk to Burton about this after the show because I've got to address it, and you put it off. But the fact of the matter is, like Burton will tell you, Burton, and I can guarantee you, since then you were at my house 2-3 months ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you come over there. I guarantee you, my situation has gotten worse. If it gets too bad, he's got to tear it out. If you catch it early enough, we can fix it. You can do the repair, which is going to cost you far less. So my thing is to reach out to Burton, give him a call, have him come out and talk to you now because like Burton was out there pounding on the walls in the shower to see if everything was kind of still sturdy, everything, if we had any problems, if moisture intrusion was a problem. And that's kind of why I tell him, call Burton now, get him out there, and he'll come out there and talk to you, give you a free quote of kind of what's going on in your house overall, correct?
You bet, absolutely.
That number is 447-8651, 447-8651. And again, you can go to the website, burtonsremodel.com. So we're talking a little bit about remodeling to live and stay. When we come back, Burton, we want to ask you about improvements for the sale. And I know you start from the curb appeal to putting some paint on there. You might have some damaged flooring or carpeting. So kind of the A's to Z's if you say, all right, we are going to sell, we have to sell. And Burton's the guru of that, as you mentioned. How many days did it take the couple that moved to Chicago that you moved that house?
Oh, they sold that house in 4 days.
Yeah. Now I say you moved it. Chris is like, now wait a minute.
Multiple offers.
Yeah,
but because of your beautiful.
And I don't recall getting the listing on that, but I don't think I knew you then, right?
Brouhaha out here. Okay. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Show featuring Chris Lofthus of the Chris Lofthus Group at Keller Williams Realty in Boise. By the way, if you've missed a segment that you wanted to catch, or there was a piece on there, you said, hey, I remember they were talking about something with title insurance.